How much does owning a home really cost? Hi, and welcome back. I'm Kamika, and this is Well Balanced Wallet, where I help you create healthy money habits and live a life that you love on your current budget. Today's video is going to be all about the cost of home ownership. My husband and I purchased a home last year, May of 2020. So we've been in our home for a little bit over a year now, and we're finally having to pay for a few things for our home and start doing little things for maintenance here or there. So I thought it would be fun to make a series about the cost of home ownership. Before we purchased our home last year, we did a lot of research, and one of the questions that I had, and I'm sure many of you may have, is home ownership expensive? And I know it's a given that home ownership costs a good amount of money, but is it really expensive or is it sustainable? So while I was doing my research, I never found an answer to this question, and now that I am a homeowner, I understand why. One of the reasons is that expensive is going to vary from person to person. So expensive is not a good term to use when you're trying to figure out the actual cost of home ownership. The other reason is that you never know the full extent of the expenses for your home until you're actually living in your home and things start to happen, or you have to start doing maintenance around your home. That's when you start to experience having to pay for things, and you get to start figuring out the real cost of actually owning your space. So with that being said, we're going to bring you along on the journey of home ownership from the perspective of a first-time homeowner. Let's get started. So for this series, I'm going to keep a running list of all of the things that we pay for that are considered part of home ownership. So that means anything that comes up that we have to pay for, any maintenance that we are paying for or that is required, and also a few cosmetic things, as long as those things are going to stay in the home in the case that we sell. So since this is the first video in this series, I feel like I need to bring you guys up to speed with everything that we've already paid. So first up is going to be a few initial costs that we had to pay before we even purchased our home. So first we have our earnest money, and earnest money can be anywhere between $500 to $1,000. So for our home, we paid $500 for our earnest money, and that went to escrow. And you are eligible to get that money back at your closing, or you can decide to keep it in escrow. Next up are the inspections that you should get before you purchase a home. Now, I know the housing market is kind of crazy right now, and a lot of real estate agents and sellers and buyers are talking about skipping inspections and due diligence before purchasing a home, but I really don't recommend that you skip those things. So for our inspections for the home, we paid $350, and we had an inspector come out and they inspected everything. So that's pretty much it for the things that we paid for before we even purchased our home. So let's move on to purchasing the home. We live in Georgia, so the housing market is going to be a little bit different than it is in areas like New York or different high cost of living areas. So we were able to find a nice 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom home, 1,800 square feet, and the total purchase price was $186,000. So that is the amount that we agreed upon with our sellers, and that's the total price of our home. But when you purchase a home and you don't have money to pay for your home in cash, you do have to get financing. So my husband and I were able to get a conventional loan, and we got this loan with zero money down, and we also do not have private mortgage insurance. Now, I know that a zero down loan may not work for everybody, but for us, it was a great choice and we do not regret it. So as you know, if you get any type of loan, there are going to be loan fees associated with it. So we had to pay 1.5% for our loan fees, which was $3,255, which made our total loan price $189,255. So that is the total amount for the purchase of our home. Okay, so moving on to actually moving into the house. Now, some of these things are cosmetic, but like I said, if it's going to stay in the house when we leave, I am going to include it in this series. So when we got our keys and came to our home, the first thing that we did was we got one of the bedrooms and one of the bathrooms painted. Now, at first we were going to do it ourselves, but we realized that neither one of us had ever painted a house before. So the painters came in and they charged us $600 to paint those 2 rooms. So we paid the $600 for the painting, and then we had a mishap in one of the bathrooms, so we had to call a plumber. With that plumber, we only had to pay $100, and that's because we have a warranty with our home that our sellers purchased, and I'll talk about that shortly. So we paid $100 for a plumber, and then recently our sprinklers stopped working, and we realized that the breaker on our irrigation system had been tripping, and we wanted to make sure that everything was okay with that. So we had to call in a specialist for our irrigation system, and they were able to fix the problem for $180.30. And don't worry, it wasn't anything that our inspector missed. It had to do with a rabbit that we have in our backyard that we don't know where he came from, but the problem has been fixed. So that's everything that we've paid for so far since we've been in the home. And there are a few more things that I want to talk about before I end this video. They kind of fall into the upkeep and upgrades category. So let's talk about the home warranty first. So when we purchased our house, the sellers purchased a home warranty for us that included 1 year. Now that we've been in the home for 1 year, we had the option to continue the warranty. So we did repurchase that for $660 for the next year. And then last thing is pest control. And our sellers purchased that for us too last year. So that ran out as well. And we had to pay $185 for that for the next year. So those are all the things that we have already spent money on, and the total so far is $189,255 for our home loan, and then everything else that we've paid, including the initial costs and the repairs and the painting and everything, so far has been $2,575.30. So I want to say that's not too bad for being in our home for 1 year. We do have 2 things that I know of that are coming up. We're going to have some electric work done, and we're going to get some shelving built into our master closet. And I'll be sure to make separate videos on those as a part of this series. And I'm just excited to take you guys along with us so that you can see our journey and get a true picture of what it's like to own a home. So that's all for this video. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about purchasing a home or owning a home or anything that I mentioned that we've paid for, and I'll be sure to respond to you. Don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe, and click the link on your screen right now for more Well Balanced Wallet content. See you there.